To everyone that is using the name of the Lord to cover their face and plot out their evil deeds, may the evil deeds catch up with them very soon and really quickly. How is it possible for someone that looked like my color, a black man, to approach a man of honor? Because this said man that is actually pressing charges on this man, I've seen his pictures with Trump, I've seen his pictures with the late Charlie, which is when I was doing my research, right? And was he working on the street? Was he just sitting in his car that someone that looked like me would just walk to him and tell him without fear that I am going to unalive your child and then I am going to unalive your wife? Just like that. The wife in question, she's very, very good in demonstrating the illustration. We saw him with a knife. We were threatened. Don't bring your kids to DC. Putting it out there that yes, the homeless in DC definitely need to be flushed out. And you're trying to tell me that this is not a setup. I will say it again. May every single person that is using the name of the Lord to commit evil and atrocity, may God visit them with his wrath. Let's go into this video so that you guys can watch by yourself, judge by yourself, before I say what I want to say at the end of this video. Credit belongs to original creators of every clips and stitches we use in today's episode. And this is just for educational purposes because I'm curious to know. I'll be back with commentary. Let's just get right into it.
So there's been some updates with these two, and it gets much, much worse because it becomes blatantly obvious that they're trying to pull some more Emmett Till setup type shit. As I always do, I'm going to run it back to the first video, and I'm going to stick around and point some things out.
So this guy just said he wanted to murder our baby as we were walking past, and now they're going to put him under arrest. He said, I'm going to murder your wife and baby.
Yeah, he literally said that. This guy right there, when we're walking past.
So we're going to press charges.
He said he wanted to kill our white baby. How sick can people be? This is disgusting. I'm completely outraged. You can't even walk down the streets of Washington, D.C. without people acting like this. Thank God we reported it to the police and are dealing with the guy. I cannot believe this right now. Don't bring your kids down here. It's not safe.
Don't bring your kids to D.C.
Not safe at all.
Last night, while heading home from Joe's Seafood on 1500 Pennsylvania Avenue, 1 block from the White House, a black man approached my wife and my baby and I and said, I'm going to kill your white girl. I'm going to kill your effing white baby. And he repeated it many times, and then he continued to call my wife a white B-word multiple times. And I had half a mind to stomp his head in, but instead I went to the Secret Service, which was a block away from us, and I told them what he had said. The man was subsequently arrested, and he has now been brought on charges by the U.S. Attorney General's office, felony charges for felony threats and hate and bias crime.
And also, we found out later that he had a knife in his pocket, so that was extremely terrifying.
So this is unbelievable. This shouldn't be happening in the capital of the United States of America. Families like ours should feel safe. We have 5 other children at home that were with grandma, luckily, that night. We're not even from here, we're from Iowa. And to have to suffer that after losing our friend Charlie Kirk, who I worked for, and then this, it's unbelievable. And America, you need to do better. Racism, reverse racism, it's all wrong, it's all evil. Turn to Jesus, believe the gospel, repent of your sins, be renewed in your mind, in your thinking. Love one another. Love your neighbor as yourself, as Jesus commands. We need to seek God. This is not acceptable.
Get a load of that smile when the video ends. Let's move on.
Online. So my understanding is that you would like us to charge this as a hate crime from the beginning, and so because you were starting to talk about facts of the case, as I explained earlier, I cannot talk about facts of the case without an officer witness on the line. So let me ask you real quickly. So the facts that I understood were that he threatened to kill you, Sarah, and your quote-unquote white baby. Is that correct?
Yes. He said he's going to kill. He said he was speaking to me. He said, I'm going to kill your girl and your effing white baby.
Okay.
And then he repeatedly called my wife a white B word. And it was for 100% a hate crime. If I would have said that to a black man, his wife and baby...
I'm going to stop you. Sir, I'm going to stop you right here. I appreciate where you are going with this. I in no way, shape, or form disagree with you that this sounds like a hate crime. But I want to explain to you how our process works.
Okay.
So...
And then they cut the video off because things are not going in the direction that they hoped for. They try to spew their rhetoric, and this woman was not having it. So shout out to her for doing her job. Let's move on. Okay, this is the most recent one, and I want you all to pay very close attention to everything they say down to the caption in this video, because they are so outrageously frustrated that they don't even realize they're telling on themselves.
Bias. Okay.
Yeah.
And then...
So these will be felony threats with a hate bias enhancement. And so what that does is that changes the possibility, the way we, the possibility of sentencing, the kind of plea that's given, plea offer. I don't have any knowledge of a violent history, not at this time, but let me actually, 1 second. I would have to do some digging into his history in order to be able to get
You might have to do a little research because you got about an hour and a half, and if this guy is a violent offender, hold on, you don't have to give us any information, but if this guy is a violent offender and there is some legal precedent to hold him, then he needs to be held because he could be a danger to the public, and he could go and stab some baby. He could kill some baby. You know? That's not safe to have people like that are that unhinged on the streets in our capital city of the United States of America.
A block from the
president.
president.
A block from the White House. We were on 1500 Pennsylvania. That's insane.
I do not. I would love to have a conversation with you about it, but I honestly cannot. And like I said, if I have a legal basis to ask for him to be held, I will ask for him to be held. At this time, I don't know of a legal basis for me to ask for him to be held.
Well,
which means the court doesn't have a legal basis to hold him.
Well, Barb, do some digging. That's all I'm going to say. Because if he gets out and he does something, I swear this is going to be very bad for everybody. Very bad for everybody. It's not going to be good for the district. It's not going to be good for the U.S. Attorney's Office. It's not going to be good. It's going to be national public television. Everybody's going to know about it. I literally know President Trump personally. It's not a good situation. I shouldn't have to feel like my wife is going to be killed and my baby is going to be killed, and then some violent offender gets released back on the streets of Washington, D.C.
And we don't even know his criminal background.
We don't know. We don't know who we're dealing with here, so we don't feel safe.
What
at
if
this
it's
point.
What if it's the same thing like the guy in North Carolina where they let him out 14 times, and then he goes and kills somebody? That guy should not have been on the streets, and I don't think this person should be on the streets either.
Listen, you seem like a really nice lady, Barb, and I know there's more that you guys can do. So I'm hoping that you guys will figure out something.
I mean, even a mental asylum, like, is there a mental hospital he can go to or something?
Or a homeless shelter or something. Something to keep him away from people.
I I hear you.
Any questions?
For the past 2 days, I've been sharing the story and updates about a MAGA couple who got...
What did I tell you when I saw that Stitch video? That it was bullshit. That when they made that video accusing this man of wanting to unalive their white baby, I said that didn't happen. A black man is not going to randomly tell two white people in DC, especially, that he was going to unalive their white baby. And it turns out this man has ties to the alt-right. She got a picture of him cozying up to Kirk. Now this innocent black man is locked up. This white guy has a criminal history. And you know that black men have been unalived for less. Y'all watch the Stitch video for the rest of the tea, because this...
A MAGA couple in DC just pulled a Carolyn Bryant this week and got an innocent man arrested because they lied, claiming that this man threatened their lives.
So this guy just said he wanted to murder our baby as we were walking past, and now they're gonna put him under arrest. He said, "I'm gonna murder your wife and baby."
Yeah, he literally said that. This guy right there, when we're walking past,
So we're gonna press charges.
he said he wanted to kill our white baby. How sick can people be? This is disgusting. I'm completely outraged. You can't even walk down the streets of Washington, D.C. without people acting like this. Thank God we reported it to the police and are dealing with the guy.
So what's the actual story, Joel Tenney and Sarah Elizabeth? Was it white baby or wife and baby? Because that kind of distinction does not go unnoticed. And you know what else doesn't go unnoticed? A third different story than the one in the actual video when the incident had just occurred, when it was very fresh in you and your wife's mind. Your recap of words was very different than your wife's in the video. And in your caption on Instagram, it's also very different on what it is that the man said to you or that you claim he said to you. The fact that you mentioned that you weren't allowed to carry your 2A lets me know that you were looking to see a deceased black person that night. But unfortunately, you didn't get your wish, did you? Because the reality is, Joel, you're no victim, you're a clout chaser. You are a fanatic looking to incite violence in my city.
Last night, while heading home from Joe's Seafood on 1500 Pennsylvania Avenue, 1 block from the White House, a black man approached my wife and my baby and I and said, "I'm going to kill your white girl. I'm going to kill your effing white baby." And he repeated it many times, and then he continued to call my wife a white B-word multiple times. And I had half a mind to stomp his head in.
And then you got upset when you found out that this innocent man did not have a previous record.
I don't have any knowledge of a violent history. Not at this time, but let me actually take 1 second. I would have to do some digging into his history in order to
You might have to do a little research because you got about an hour and a half, and if this guy is a violent offender, hold on, Barb, you don't have to give us any information, but if this guy is a violent offender and there is some legal precedent to hold him, then he needs to be held because he could be a danger to the public and he could go and stab some baby. He could kill some baby.
There's two things you missed in this scenario, Joel. The first one being filing a false police report and then getting an innocent man arrested. And number two, you thought this man was so disposable that putting on the internet that you would never think that this man has community. Well, I have another thought for you. Not only does this man indeed have community, but we will find every single bit of evidence that is necessary to get you and your wife charged. And like you guys, Joel and Sarah Elizabeth, I like using social media too, but I'm also boots on the ground with folks who are heavily within the court system. And while you probably thought that there was no one in the world that would keep that man safe, we keep him safe. For the past 2 days, I've been sharing the story and updates about a MAGA couple who got an innocent black man arrested. Joel Tenney and Sarah Elizabeth Tenney claimed that upon leaving their dinner at Joe's Seafood in DC, that a black man allegedly said that he was going to unalive Sarah Elizabeth and their baby. And for the past 2 days, people have asked me if I had any updates, if we have any way to help the brother that has been falsely accused. And well, I do have some updates. And for the audience, feel free to grab a seat while you get this tea. But this message is specifically to Joel Tenney, who thought that that black man didn't have community or have support. Hey, Joel, in one of your videos, you actually claimed that that man's record should have been looked into a little bit deeper because you found him to be violent, actually very violent.
I don't have any knowledge of a violent history, not at this time, but let me actually, 1 second. I would have to do some digging into his history in order to
You might have to do a little research because you got about an hour and a half, and if this guy is a violent offender, hold on, Bob. You don't have to give us any information, but if this guy is a violent offender and there is some legal precedent to hold him, then he needs to be held because he could be a danger to the public. And
while Barb informed you, Joel Tenney, that that man did not have a violent criminal history or record, you said that she should dig a little deeper. And I thought, light bulb moment, Joel Tenney. And with $1 and a dream and public records, I dug a little deeper. And oddly enough, I found a criminal record of someone who has a similar name to you. Now, could possibly be a mix-up, and there's multiple Joel Tenneys in the world born on August 7th, 1996, just like your Facebook says. Because I would hate that when this black man has to sue you, that this information would make itself apparent in court. Because not only was this Joel Tenney from Iowa charged with 1 count of criminal sexual misconduct in the 3rd degree, but convicted of a 2nd count of criminal sexual misconduct in the 5th degree. And that violent guy who shares your name got 2 years of probation. Gee willikers, Joel. But listen, I have an idea. You can take down the post making the false claim against the black man who did absolutely nothing to you and your wife, and you can drop the charges immediately. Because you know, Joel, as a Christian, God forgives. So do the Christian thing, Joel, so that we don't have to use the power of public records that strengthens us.
Welcome back, guys. After watching all of that clip, what message did those clips send to you? What signal did you get after watching all of that clips? 1, they're trying to make it out there for people to know that yes, Washington DC is not safe, and yes, the orange man is making the right decision to flush the homeless people out of Washington DC. What is the second thing that it tells you? It tells you that these people will look for every single means to rob something, allegations, anything on people that look like me. All in the name of they don't want to make it look like their own color is the one that is actually committing most of the major crimes. Now let it make sense to me that a black man will see a white man just walking on the streets with his beautiful wife and a baby, and then he approached them to tell them to their face that I will unalive you and your baby. That's funny. And yes, they're pressing charges. We call the police authority. Now they're pressing charges. Racism is this and is that. And we should try our possible best to work out or to make sure it is not in the racism is not in America. When the man is trying to explain, the wife is trying to add. I smell a lot of foul play in this as far as I'm concerned. Because the question is, as at the time of filming the first clip of your video, were you just walking on the streets? Were you sitting in your car and this man approached you? And knowing fully well the kind of person that you are, you didn't say, okay, why? Maybe you bring us camera to record it and so on and so forth. It's not making sense. It's not making sense. That is why, see, every single person that is not of the palm-colored people, please be careful and know your stance. Be very careful and know your stance, because these people will do anything to tarnish the reputation, the image that you guys have. But let me know what you think about this in the comment section. Credit belongs to original creators of every stitches and clips is not this episode, and this is just for educational purposes. We do not support any form of violence on our page. Now, with no further ado, I'm going to be Simba, and I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye guys. I love you. But let me know what you think.